Your golf ball is the most technologically advanced, or it's not. Your golf ball is either the most consistent, or it's not. It's the most trusted, or it's not. The fact is, it's either Titleist, the best performing golf ball in the world, or it's not. Prove it for yourself. Titleist, the #1 ball in golf. What will you play?
I've never seen anything like it before, and to attempt to hit the ball out of there is pure madness.
The winner of the gold medal and the champion golfer of the year is Cameron Smith.
This is the one that I've always wanted to win since I was a little kid. So it just feels pretty amazing to be able to get it done today.
It's amazing that it's my destiny to be the first Aussie to win. Just incredible.
Hello and welcome to the landmark 70th episode of Playing from the Tips, a Golf Australia magazine podcast that sounds off and seemingly puts the mock on professional golf and golfers each and every week. My name is Jimmy Emanuel, host of this show, and like a farmer with a broken gate, attempting to the impossible of keeping the so-called experts in bound of sensible conversation and on track. The first of those untamed beasts is known the world over for his podcast skills and highly engaged views on the game across all levels and rabbit holes. None other than Rocket Rod Morri. Rod, welcome.
Thank you, Jimmy. If you're going to set yourself a task, at least make it achievable. Trying to make sense of this is not achievable. Just lower your expectations a tad, mate.
Absolutely. Well, my expectations are unable to keep a handle on any of this. So,
for your own good, I'm telling you this, Jimmy.
For my own good and that of the listener. Next, fresh off another Gala Day victory with Ewan Porter and having found form and forgiveness thanks to cavity backs older than most tour players we cover, it is, of course, Adrian Logue. Logue, welcome.
Yeah, the Ping Zings, the great Ping Zings. I'm a worshipper at the altar of Ping now.
Where did you get them?
Matt Burns supplied. Burns supplied the clubs that lost him. That Gala day.
Lost him that day.
Yeah, he was hoisted on his own petard.
Lovely.
Great. It was truly a romantic tragedy. Yeah. It was unbelievable.
The Zing overlooked because of the Ping Eye.
Correct.
Ping Eye 2, which was, but great irons. The club champion up at Mangrove Mountain, Leon, it was the only irons I ever saw him use, and he played amazing golf with those Ping Zings. Just fantastic.
Probably the fattest top line in golf as well.
What about the ISI? ISI?
No, that was a thin one.
That was the thinner one, wasn't it? Yeah, the ISI, the other cavity back that you think of when you think about Ping. Well done, Logue. Nice work.
Yeah.
Anyway, we like to take stock of last week before we move into next week, including any highlights. I think Cam Davis winning the Morocco Mortgage Classic, named, of course, for Rod Morri, for a second time will be the main takeaway. But what stood out for everybody last week?
Back-to-back holes in one at the US Senior Open. That's pretty extraordinary.
Yep.
In fact, the US Senior Open was a fabulous
Newport looked amazing.
Amazing. Richard Green right in it. No surprise if you have a look at the golf course. And what a player Richard Green is. He might be the Stephen Alker of 2024 or 2025 perhaps, Richard Green. So I thought that was the standard. You're right, Cam Davis. And what bobbed up again during the week, of course, is that fabulous video of Cam Davis swinging right-handed and left-handed from the Golf Australia camp all those years ago. Still infuriating to watch, but what a talented golfer.
Yeah, I think it'll all come together for him, like a couple of times a year. He's going to contend and continue along this trajectory with his career.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he has everything that he needs to get to the next level, except maybe he just doesn't bring it all together all the time.
But just not there yet. Cam Davis looks like an absolute PGA Championship winner of the future at some point. He's that elite PGA Tour player. He's not quite in the elite class, but he's above average in everything else. PGA like Xander Schauffele and those sorts of players. It feels like that's maybe where he'll end up. But yeah.
It's a couple of weeks late, but if it had been a couple of weeks earlier, it would have drastically altered the Australian Olympic team, can I tell you?
Oh, really?
So Min Woo Lee finished second, obviously, and was probably unlucky not to even push Cam a little harder. But if it was a couple of weeks back and there'd been a little bit of a reversal of those things, it could have changed that. But what it will almost certainly do is get Cam Davis a spot on the President's Cup team, which he has had top of his list. So it was obviously impressive. I think Richard Bland Another senior major. That playoff was actually riveting last night, so that was amazing. You mentioned Newport Country. Australians everywhere, though. We had Jeff Guan on the Challenge Tour, Kirsten Rudgley, and it was a good week, but it's hard to go past Cam Davis and, of course, our man Logue making a birdie by going 7 wood off the tee, persimmon driver off the deck.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
that's
the Mo Norman.
That's what you call
strategy.
Shot making, Jimmy. Yep.
What I saw was not shot.
How bad did you hit the 7 wood that you had to hit driver next?
It was a sort of a floater out to right field. and then it kind of left me with no choice but to hit driver because it was the only club I could get under the tree limb that I had to get under.
Fantastic stuff.
Anyway, enough of last week, but finally on it.
You failed to mention it was a really short par 4 too.
It was a very short par 4. It was quite remarkable.
Didn't Akshay have one of those? Didn't he hit a 2-shot about 90 yards and had to hit driver off the deck for his second somewhere? So, you're channeling Akshay. Yeah, fantastic.
We did deliver 5 top 10s last week, so that takes us to 88 so far in 2024, alongside 14 wins. But quite remarkably, and I think for the first time ever in golf podcasts recorded in Sydney history, of which we're, of course, the order of merit leader, all 3 of us tipped players who tied for second on the PGA Tour.
So who did you have? I had Aaron Rai or Ray.
I had Min Woo.
I had Akshay.
Nice work, yeah.
But
You'd really be hurting.
Yeah, I was, yeah.
I left with a lot of positives after that driver off the deck from Aaron Rai on the 72nd hole, which was just a special shot. But, yeah, you've come away a little bit shaken.
Again, though, the win, going for the win, it's a mugs game. Just
of course it is.
Public service announcement for all the listeners.
Who's got the Tiger Woods of our tipping group just saying, look, the winning it's hard,
leave that to the experts. But yeah, top 10s, they're feasible. You can pick top 10s.
We also had Matteo Manacero and Tongchai Jaide recording top 10. So good kind of random ones too. So exactly on that message, Logue. All right, let's leave last week and get into this one. And we're going to lead off with the PGA Tour and some of the best tee markers in golf. Of course, it is John Deere Classic week. Rod, you're going to take us through it.
I am. Well, we're all familiar with the John Deere Classic. It's actually been the site of some really good moments over the years. Spieth holing out from the bunker in 2013. I forgot he was only 19 when he won that tournament. He was the first teenage winner in 60-odd years or something at the time. So it's had some good stuff. Sponsor Watch, John Deere, everybody obviously knows they make agricultural equipment, mowers, tractors, that sort of thing. Fascinating history. So the founder, John Deere, he moved to Illinois in 1836. In 1837, he invented a plough that the local soil didn't stick to. They had a problem, the local farmers, with the hand ploughs. It was clay sort of soil. So he made this shiny one that the soil didn't stick to. Boom. Not only did he get rich, actually contributed to the opening up of the Midwest for farmers to be able to move across and actually effectively work the soil. So pretty amazing stuff, really, when you think about it. They've gone, I think they're in the top 20 global companies in the world. John Deere, they're a really huge effort. Yeah, they are huge. They are huge. Well, think about it. Everybody knows the logo. Everybody knows John Deere. They've become I'll jump on the John Deere no matter what brand the tractor is. They really are
the Hoover of tractors.
They really are the Hoover of tractors. Well done. Exactly right. This tournament, it used to be called the Quad Cities Classic. Some people might remember Tiger Woods gave up his first and for a long time only 54-hole lead at the Quad Cities Classic in 1996.
Oh, really?
Who beat him? Jimmy probably knows. Who won that tournament?
I don't know. It wasn't
Anybody?
Wai Yang.
Bueller,
I thought Wai Yang was his first.
Bueller. No, that wasn't his first time in a major. Ed Fiore.
Okay.
Well done, Ed. So, yes, Tiger learned a lot that day, clearly, because it didn't happen again for many, many, many years that he coughed up a 54
I think Ed Fiore also learnt a lot because it didn't happen again for many, many years.
And Ed Fiore lives on in trivia questions on golf trivia games all over the world to this day. So it's got a good history. This started in the 1970s, this tournament. Moved to this course. It's a TPC course, obviously, that the Tour owns in the year 2000. Design work of D.A. Wybring, a former Tour player. Most people might remember that name. Architecturally, there's nothing about it that stands out. You go looking, it's a good PGA Tour golf course. That's what it's been sort of built for. So
damning. It's like a damning assessment.
It is, but it isn't, because what it means is it's of a certain quality, which is good, but there's nothing special about it. It's not a bad golf course. It's not a poor golf course. It's just not a particularly overly enhanced. It's not built it's built to create interesting tournaments, not so much interesting golf necessarily. Pardon me, scoring here tends to be pretty good. Winning scores always 20 plus under par. So the players obviously like it, and that's kind of what they're aiming for. They want to see players making birdies. That's what the Tour wants. It's what they think the fans want. So
it's what you want.
Kind of, sometimes. Anyway, downside for this event, obviously, it's not a stellar field because it's sort of around this time of year, we've got a lot of the top players taking time off, obviously, with the Scottish Open Championship double coming up, which a lot of them will play. So the biggest names in the field, Spieth, Day and Sung Jae Im, which is interesting for some of them. Now, Spieth, who won this twice, played 3 times, 2 wins, 1 tied 7th, hasn't played since 2015, since the last time he won. Why is he here?
He's playing a very full schedule. I think
I'm not sure it's working for him. He's the favourite with the bookies, but I don't understand how because he's playing some awful golf.
We know him better than the rest.
Yeah, although kind of, and you'd know this, Jimmy, being close to players, he'll go back here. He'll have amazing memories. His first tour win, and it was kind of a bit of Spieth mania. So who knows what that might do? Because a player at that level, you'd think it unlikely there's something really technically badly wrong with his golf swing. It's predominantly probably in his head. Goes there, feels good. Who knows? So you wouldn't write him off, but I don't think I'd make him the favourite. Well, I wouldn't have anyway. Sepp Straka, the defending champion, he's also
picked him last year, I think.
Sepp, did you? You might have done too, yeah. Yeah, well done. He's been playing okay. He shot 61 in his last round out, final round of the Travellers Championship. So playing all right. And my man Aaron Rye from last week, he's never played here before, but he's high on the betting odds. So, look, this could be his kind of golf course, depending how drained he is after last week. But the third big name, Sung Jae Im, he's the man I'm going to tip. I think he's going to win this week. He's kind of trending. And his bag man, Willie Wilcox, is very active on Twitter, and he seems happy. When Willie's happy, Sung Jae's happy.
Underperformed in his career.
Oh, very much so. Couldn't agree more.
Underperformed in terms of, like, big finishes.
Too laid back? Just kind of goes with the flow each week? Does he want it enough? Maybe? I don't know. What do you think?
I think he could do, famously plays a very full schedule. So,
well, finally has a home. First year he didn't have had a base. He just lived in hotels.
I think longer. He just played every week and lived out of hotels. Yeah, it was remarkable. And then bought a house in Atlanta.
Yeah, very nice and central, I guess. Curtis,
I think because it's got a great airport.
Yeah, probably. Well, this is how golfers make this. What are the local taxes like? Where can you get to from the airport?
Where the hubs.
You get a lot of Australians in Texas for that reason, in Dallas, because I think you can fly direct from Dallas to Australia, and from Dallas. And Dallas is nice and central for the rest of America. I remember Curtis Luck, years, maybe 2015, was at a dinner. Did you come to that dinner in 2015? Anyway, you might not have. Curtis Luck was there, and he was talking about Sung Jae Im, and he said, "You've never seen anything like this guy." 2019, it was the President's
2019 President's Cup. Yeah, we had dinner with him and Clates. And
you were there,
Huggy.
yeah. And you don't impress Curtis Luck or those kind of guys easily, but he just said, "This guy Sung Jae is extraordinary. He's got it on a string." So he's clearly got the talent, but you're right. I think you're right. He's underperformed to this point.
Okay.
Logue, a pick from you?
Wesley Bryan caught my eye, as he does from time to time. Like he just I
love how you've got lists of. Yeah. He's a time-to-time guy. Ferguson's on the out list. You and Ferguson. Oh, yeah, he's no longer part of the team. Yeah.
Shame on you for even mentioning him. But Wesley Bryan. It's time. He had actually bobbed his head up earlier in the year as well, and I think he's just one of those players that continues to do that from time to time. And this is the sort of event where those guys do that.
Good call.
He did tweet the other day an apology to his brother because he made the cut, so he wasn't able to film YouTube videos over the weekend.
Yeah. It's an extraordinary story. I just thought they were the trick shot guys, and Wesley Bryan comes out and wins a bunch of PGA Tour events, and he's actually a really quality player, and I think is just a good pro. He's going to...
Agreed. Those trick shot videos, I think, show you, they give the average golfer a look into how good you have to be a contender on the PGA Tour and a regular contender on the PGA Tour. If you can do what those guys can do in their trick shot, and you can't compete with the guys on the PGA Tour, the rest of us really need to just settle right down.
Yep. I'm going to go with a name that you missed, I think, in your assessing of the field, Patrick Cantlay.
Well, he withdrew.
I'm not going to go. He must have withdrawn.
You're having a real Laurie Cantor, mate.
I'm having a Laurie Cantor.
He's done it in a Cantor. I suspect his name was incorrectly put on the field because apparently it just disappeared about an hour and a half after the field was released. So I'd be surprised if he'd actually entered at any point. Somebody's accidentally put that in there. So you get a free kick, Jimmy.
That's all right. Well, if he wins in the next couple of weeks, I'm claiming that. But I'm also my other person I had on my list was Jason Day, who seems very up and about making the Olympics, and he just it's a strange one for him to be here as well. So
Why not?
I think, why not? Australians won there too. John Senden, of course, first PGA Tour win. Mark Hensby, first PGA Tour win here. So good vibes. Must be something good in the area. All right. Next, let's head to Europe and the somewhat historic BMW International Open in Germany, which of course is held in the Bavarian Motor Works, or, prepare to be offended German listeners, Bayreuth Motoren Werke, home base of Munich. That's as good as my sponsor watch gets on BMW, because everyone knows what a BMW is. Held here for more than 20 years. The club was established in the late 1980s. It's 27 holes when it opened, but it's actually now 34 holes, because you count the short course that's a little 6-hole loop, and there's a special hole called Sleeping Beauty that they use this week and during one other week of the year. So it's sort of interesting. It is, the name of the golf club is again going to offend German listeners when I say it. It's Golf Club München Eichrind. It was done by German architect Kurt Roxnecht, and it's very tree-lined, expansive bunkering, plenty of water, very sort of typical of this sort of area of Europe's golf and tournament golf. It's sort of a pretty good test, though, but there's a pretty good list of names on the honour roll, which always suggests a good event that's run well by the title partner and the tour. So you've got the likes of Paul Azinger, Sandy Lyle, Colin Montgomery, Ernie Els, Lee Westwood, John Daly, and our own Peter Fowler as historic winners. Then you've got Victor Hovland more recently, and Tristan Lawrence from South Africa is the defending champion. In terms of players to watch, I think the man who Logue says shall not be named is in the field, but beyond him, you've got last week's winner Marcel Siem, Danny Willett's returned from injury and playing quite well. Ryan Fox, Keita Nakajima, Ryder Cup captain Luke Donald, a couple of live players sprinkled in. So Patrick Reed, Thomas Peters, Martin Keimer. And then there's a bit of a European legends category this week. Thomas Bjorn, Miguel Angel Jimenez, and I believe making his final appearance in what was effectively his home tournament for his career, Bernhard Langer.
Wow.
So fresh off
a bit of interest.
US Senior Open.
Senior Open. Which just
sorry,
yeah. By the way,
remarkable to be jumping on a plane from Rhode Island to go to Munich, but he's doing that, I believe, to make this last appearance.
I was looking at some footage of the '81 British Open and at Royal St George's. I think Langer was contending. It was really down to Langer and Rogers towards the end, and just an amazing career. Like at that time, he was just this young bloke with a strong grip and incredible ball striking and very odd putting performance.
Yeah, that's right. Did you see Harrington last week saying that his win in the US Senior Open last year, Langer, might be the greatest achievement in sport? Was he 62 years old or something? Winning the US
61, I think.
60, yeah. It really is remarkable. I mean, think about it. I'm 55, and the thought of playing 72 holes of golf at Newport, then getting on a plane and travelling internationally, let alone playing another tournament when you got to the other end, is just, you couldn't fathom it.
I think he's carrying a foot injury or something as well.
Well, he ripped tore his Achilles.
That's right, tore his Achilles. Yeah, that's tough. Yeah.
I remember Clayton saying to me once that Langer treats it like a job. He works from Tuesday to Sunday, and on Tuesday morning he gets to the office, the golf course, at whatever the time it is, and he spends his 8 or 9 hours there doing his work, and then he goes home, and then he comes back Wednesday and does the same thing, and that's how he has done golf. And look at the guy, 60. I mean, he's 61 and just
in great shape.
Yeah,
it's inspirational.
It really is. Really is.
There's a couple of Aussies here: Jason Scrivener, David Micheluzzi, Hayden Barron, and Tom Power-Horan. Andrew Martin is the first reserve, so I'm sure he's sitting in Munich and waiting for his chance, because given the time we record this and being the first reserve, you'd like your chances of getting in there. We'll get some tips, and I'm going to lead off. And I was actually tempted to stick with Patrick Reed after a T29 in Italy last week, and also just to upset our man Marquez. But I'm instead going to go with Ryan Fox, who stands out a bit in this field. He won a couple of the big events last year, and he's getting very good.
I didn't pick Ryan.
There looks
Logue's having a meltdown. I'm guessing he had Ryan Fox on his list.
Yeah, I had Ryan Fox. So I'm sticking with him. I'm going Ryan Fox as well. I think he's just going to bully it around this track.
Could well.
Really good setup for him.
I agree with all that, but I'm going to go a little bit left field. I like Rikuya Hoshino.
Yeah.
Nice.
He just keeps bobbing up, doesn't he? Like, he had those great finishes in Australia sort of back end of last year, but he just keeps popping up. He's a solid player. Won in Qatar, so he knows how to get it done.
Yeah, very, very good player. Hits it a long way, surprisingly long way. And so if Ryan Fox, we think, is going to bully the golf course, why can't Rakuya?
That's exactly right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That'll be a dream final pairing for us on Sunday afternoon when Rakuya and Ryan go head-to-head.
Titleist is the number one ball in golf. Yes, being number one is a number, and more players trust the Pro V1 or Pro V1X than all other golf balls combined. But being number one is more than a number. It's a mindset. It's a relentless mission to design and manufacture the best performing golf balls in the game, so you can chase whatever your number one is. Titleist, the number one ball in golf.
Finally, this week, their somewhat stop-start Asian Tour schedule is back. This time, International Series Morocco. I only really know of Morocco golf tournaments, and that my brother used to go there when he lived in London because he used to get £1 flights. So I think it's a perfect place for Logue to run a preview. So Logue, International Series Morocco.
A £1 flight. You're terrifying. What are they got to do to the plane to be able to send it out there with people paying £1?
You used to have to pay taxes on top of it as well, but your seat was £1 from memory.
Wow. Was that like Visit Morocco sponsored or something to try and get people?
I'm not getting a kickback, but I'm sure someone was in those days.
Yeah, interesting. That's a good one, James. Okay, so we've got International Series Morocco played at Royal Golf Dar Es Salaam.
Nice, good pronunciation.
Thank you.
We assume.
I was pausing.
I would have said
pausing for applause. This is a good golf course.
It is. Yeah, it is.
It's a really good golf course. Commissioned by Morocco's King Hassan II, a real golf enthusiast. Sadly, no longer with us. He got Robert Trent Jones to design this, not RTJ2, the original Robert Trent Jones. Designed this course in the late 60s. It was opened in 1971. It's on a massive property, and it's covered. It's actually a cork oak forest that it's on.
Is that like cork trees where we get cork for wine?
I'm glad you asked, Rod. Yeah. Scientific name, Quercus suba. The cork oak is a medium-sized evergreen oak in the section Quercus sect, Ceres. And it's the primary source for cork wine bottles.
Fabulous.
And other cork uses such as cork flooring. And
where do they go, the plastic cork?
The core of cricket balls as well.
Oh, really? Oh, nice.
The distinctive, the cork is actually the bark.
No, I didn't know that.
I just
know
found
nothing about cork.
The cork is the bark, and the distinctive feature of this tree is that its titular cork regrows after you can strip it bare, and it like completely regrows each year. So you can
What sort of a tree does that?
A cork tree. There you go. As for the field, this is a reasonably strong field. I don't think we're seeing the same strength of field that we started to get in these international series events over the last couple of years. That it seems to have dropped off a little bit. But you've got some live reserves in there that sort of bolster it. You've got Australasian Tour players looking to establish themselves in these other tours. In fact, there's a lot of Australians in this real massive long list. I'm not going to list them all, but a few notables in there is Travis Smythe, Wade Ormsby, Brendan Jones, Scott Hend, Marcus Fraser. I don't know, that's I could go on. Kazuma Kobori as well, I think, is a notable in the field here. He's going to. The world doesn't know about him yet, and they're going to find out soon. And it might be in an event like this. However, my pick is Brandon Grace.
Solid. Very solid.
Yes.
Good player.
A good player. I think he's one of those live players who's still like striving to improve his game, and
he'll turn up at qualifiers for majors,
yeah,
that sort of thing. He hasn't sort of given up yet, so to speak, in that sense. He won the first live event, was that Grace? The very first? I think he won
Charles Schwartzel.
Oh, yeah.
Was it? Anyway.
He won an early one.
No, we better go and sort of check the history books. I like that. You're right. Is this what they used to play an LET and a European Tour event here in
They did.
There was a senior
and two different golf courses.
Legends.
Have you been there, Jimmy? Two different golf courses?
I've never been there.
Three
golf
courses actually.
Three, yeah. And they're all within the grounds of the Kings.
Correct. All within this cork oak forest.
And this used to be the DP World Tour event where you got a sword as the trophy. Yeah. It was
the glory days. John Catlin will be the winner this week.
Okay,
is what I'm telling you.
All right. Yeah,
nice.
Yeah,
I
see that.
He's one of those who seems really motivated to get a full-time spot on Live, and these events are the way to do that.
He spent just a little bit too much time at this level of golf, I think, now. Just being like a headliner at this level of golf. It's time. It's got to happen now. Maybe this tournament. This is the inflection point in his career.
This week is it, John. You're on notice.
Yeah.
This week is it.
Yep.
Logs told you. I was going to say big shout out to, amongst all the Australians and New Zealanders, James Lowe from Singapore, who's getting a start this week. Absolute flusher and a great human being.
How do you know that?
How do I know that?
Yeah,
because I know everything.
Oh, is he a mate of yours, or do you know him? Or
he played on Singapore national teams that Matt Ballard was the coach of, and so through Matt, I spent a bit of time with him and watched him play quite a bit of golf, and very, very impressive. But I'm not going to tip James Lau. I'm just going to give him a shout out, but I'm going to go with another Kiwi and Ben Campbell, who's been one of those travelling reserves for Liv. He's just a really good player at this level. He strikes as a kind of standout, and those guys who travel around with Liv as a reserve seem to get a real uptick, not unlike Logue's man Laurie Cantor. Mm-hmm. I think Ben Campbell will have a good week this week. That will just about do us for episode 70 of Playing from the Tips. Rod, it's been a pleasure as always. And although I'm not actually physically in the studio, can you give the listeners an update of how the paint job's going at Sydney Podcast Studio?
Well, room 1 is done, which is my office area. I'm reluctant to get started on Studio 1 here because once you start, I can't stop. It's got to be done in one go and put back together ready for the following week when people come in. So I'm planning, but slowly I think is the word I'm looking for, Jimmy. The painting's going slowly.
What colour are you thinking of?
White.
Oh, you're going white right through.
We've got to go to a sort of a video thing. The aesthetic's going to be really important. And as it stands at the moment, as you can see, this is not an aesthetically pleasing room. It was never designed to have video as a primary thing. It was always just an audio studio. So it's got to be somewhat more visually. It's too dark in here, black curtains and dark walls. And
speaking of not aesthetically pleasing, Logue, it's going to be an important stretch for you coming up, playing a lot of golf in the UK. How do you take your gala day form to the UK? Do you put a bid in on those golf clubs of Matt's?
It's very tempting. Those are they're an evergreen club. Ping zings, folks.
Ping, just ping generally. Evergreen clubs, I think, particularly those 80s and 90s pings.
Yeah, I don't know if these ones were borderline illegal though. So I don't know, that might be a set to be treasured.
Yeah, they're definitely classics.
They're good. I'm not putting it down to anything I did, Jimmy. It's all the club. That's all.
Okay, very good.
Podcast brought to you by...
Thanks, Mr. Solheim.
You can, of course, keep up to date on all these tournaments, the latest news and views on the world of golf, and much, much more on the Golf Australia magazine website, golfaustralia.com.au. Included in all of that is our sibling podcast, The Thing About Golf. Rod, who's the latest guest on The Thing About Golf?
Jane Crafter. One of Australia's
an absolute gem.
Great,
fantastic.
One of the nicest people in the world, let alone golf. She's fabulous. And I just finished doing the last bit of the edit yesterday, ready to release tomorrow morning. And I think, as I said in the intro, so much got left out. There's so much more on the cutting room floor than I'm comfortable with, and so much that I didn't ask. The problem with these interviews, you listen back to them and you think to yourself, I didn't ask this, I didn't ask this, I didn't ask this, I didn't ask this. So hopefully what I did ask is interesting enough to keep people listening, but you always have some regrets about what you didn't get to. I was on the phone with her for nearly 2 hours. I've cut it down to closer to an hour, but so it sort of gives you an indication of how much has been left out. But yeah, Jane Crafter, really fabulous person.
Fascinating. The whole Crafter dynasty in Australian golf is...
They're a little bit like where they're from, Adelaide. It's sort of underrated. It's underappreciated. We don't talk about it enough. But the golf in Adelaide is amazing. And Jane talks a bit about just how important that was in her, sort of her formulating her career. But yeah, Jane Craft, fabulous.
Outstanding. Worth a listen. Thank you for listening, and we will be back next week on Playing from the Tips.